The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored on this Monday night. Back to school season is in full swing. Let's get these kids out the damn house, but we want them to be safe. However, the governor has signed an executive order banning mask mandates in the entire state. Clearly and justifiably, parents are worried about their family's safety first. 20,000 of them have signed a petition asking the governor to reverse his decision on face coverings. Tonight, we give the parents the mic to hear their concerns about returning to school in this age of COVID. And joining us tonight here on The Factor Uncensored, we have a roundtable of parents who are concerned about their children returning to school with COVID-19, especially with this Delta variant, very deadly Delta variant out there, and no clear, concise plan when it comes to wearing a mask. So let's begin with our parents here on The Factor Uncensored. Sandy, let's talk to you first. As a parent, what is your biggest concern and or fear sending your child back to school?
My biggest fear is that she will catch the virus because she's only 8, so she can't be vaccinated. And I have concern for my mother because she's ill too, so she's, top of the line. So I just want to keep us safe and everybody else safe, because even though I'm vaccinated, it's people still been catching it that is fully vaccinated. So I'm very concerned.
And Lee, are you guys getting any clear, definitive answer in KDISD when it comes to wearing face coverings or masks for your children?
Sadly, no, we really haven't made a lot of headway, but really now is the time to take a stand. Regardless of the TEA guidance or the governor's orders, it's most important to follow the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics expert advice, because they're the ones that we really need to concentrate on. This is their area of expertise.
And what is KDISD saying to parents now at this point about wearing a face covering? Lee?
They're saying it's completely optional. You're welcome to do so, but no one's going to enforce it, and you're certainly not obligated. Everything is optional, which obviously, while we are at the absolute height of this pandemic, that's the worst advice they could give.
And Samira, what is your position as a parent when it comes to wearing a face covering, or just how safe your child will be in school with the pandemic still going on?
Basically, that's the point that I am. I have to say I am very concerned. I have, let's see, I have a toddler at home who is too young to be vaccinated. Of course, my daughter just turned 12. She just got her basically vaccine, but my concern is that not wearing the face mask basically makes my toddler to be more prone to basically increases the rate for her to get the virus. So especially with this high rate of unvaccinated people in the state and in school, we as parents, we don't know who is vaccinated, who is not. So wearing a face mask, I feel that it protects those kids who are either not basically not being able to get vaccinated, or those who are too young to get vaccinated. And I feel that at this point, we have to make face mask mandatory to protect a lot of other, basically younger kids.
Yes.
Mira, go ahead, Lee.
No, I'm just absolutely agreeing with what she's saying. There are many under 12 children that are just being thrown in with absolutely no safeguards. And that's just the worst thing for our whole community, because they will continue to spread. They're putting them in a very high risk situation. It's very irresponsible.
And Tamika, you have a very specific situation with your child. Tell us a little bit about that and why you're concerned about him or her returning back to school.
Well, he's starting first grade this year, but he is autistic with hypoglycemia, asthma, and ADHD. He does not understand that he has to keep his face covering on. He doesn't understand about personal space and social distancing and keeping to yourself. How do you explain that to an autistic child? You really can't. The main thing is that you have to teach them, yes, but it doesn't stick with them like the older kids. And he was getting sick a lot of times just going to regular school before COVID started. Imagine how sick he'll get if he gets COVID. I actually fear for my son's life, and I am not about to let him go to public school, and he, may not come home.
You're with Lamar Consolidated. What kind of plan have they put in place? Obviously, you're not satisfied, but what have you been told as a parent?
They have something called homebound schooling. However, it doesn't qualify him because he's able to actually walk into the school. It has to be something that's really medically necessary, where he maybe is in a wheelchair or, unable to really take care of himself. So he doesn't qualify for their program. I was called today, and she said that she was going to look into helping him, but it wasn't no real sure thing.
And Juan, you have several children in HISD. The superintendent made it clear there that he would like to see face coverings pending the approval of the board. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, I saw that he asked for that. It's just we need to meet somewhere. Like we're getting, they're forcing us to send them to school without any choice. Last year we had a choice. Now we don't, and they don't seem to have their budgeting out of it. They don't have any backup plan. What if a child does get sick? What is the protocol then? Is he gonna stay home for 2 weeks? Is he gonna lose those 2 weeks of school? And more importantly, like the rate of death of this virus is, everybody keeps telling us is really low, but with one person that touches in our family, it's enough. It's more than enough. And like she said, our kids at elementary, I have one in 3rd grade that she's not going to be covered, and making it optional for the mask makes it more at risk. We know this thing, it's all about the numbers. It's all about the percentages. But if my daughter is wearing a mask, double mask, like one of them suggested, what does it matter if all her classmates are not wearing one?
And of course, we're going to continue this conversation with the parents when we come back here on The Factor. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Governor Greg Abbott's ban on face covering mandates has left school districts with one less option to ensure safety at school from COVID-19. Getting back into our conversation, the parents we're talking to say they'd rather have their child skip a grade if it kept them safe from COVID-19. Here's that conversation. Juan, you prefer virtual learning for all your children, some of your children, or is that an option right now at HISD?
This is where the importance of the majority has to matter. I have 2 kids in high school that want to go to school, that went part to school last year because they were miserable doing virtual, and my daughter kind of was struggling to learn virtual because she was barely in 2nd grade, but I still don't want them to force on us. What if this curve keeps going up? We are in like we were last year. That it started getting bad and nobody did nothing until it was really late, and it started getting high, and with holidays and all that, we're trying as much as we can not to go out, not to go to public places. Like I said, the option of wearing the mask is just a nice way to tell us that they're not wearing it.
All right, Tamika, let's hear from you. You wanted to weigh in.
I'm sorry, I was agreeing with what he was saying, and I was also saying that I would rather my child repeat a grade before I let them go out and try and catch COVID.
Yes.
I mean, COVID is very serious. It's not something that's going to go away overnight, and unless we actually take it seriously and everyone buckle down and do what they need to do, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to keep increasing and killing our kids. And I'm not about to let my son go through that.
It seems it's more about funding than the actual safety of the kids.
Yeah.
It's about having people in school so they can get more funding. I don't understand why
KDIS
is putting their funding.
Sandy, do you agree with that it's more about the dollar and not the safety of the children?
Yes, that's what I had read it about in A-Leaf. It wasn't enough funding, so that's why they're not doing virtual learning. So I don't like it. I don't feel safe, and I don't think it's appropriate because we are still in a pandemic.
Lee, as parents, do you guys feel pushed in a corner with this?
100%. And the thing that's disturbing is we are actually receiving $74 million over a 3-year period. $29 million has been allotted to this district from the federal COVID relief funds, and that's called the ESSER funds. And they're suggesting that their primary focus for the use of those funds is to elevate the test scores from lost learning from last year. And although that's very important, I really think at the height of a pandemic, the intention of that money was to put towards things like virtual learning or providing PPE for the children. And that's really what all the experts in the CDC and the AAP are recommending. No one really wants to do homeschooling, but if that's our only option, then of course that's a safer option. It's either we mask or we stay home and stay safe. That's it.
What about the statistics that we have seen from the state of Texas where virtual learning didn't do as well with the students? It didn't provide them the educational base that they needed to advance in school. Lee, that's a question for you.
I think the lost learning is definitely a factor with homeschool, and that's really why they're suggesting that masking. Oh, I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I just think that definitely face-to-face learning is vital, but if we're not going to do it in a safe manner, it doesn't work.
And of course, we're going to continue our conversation with the parents. We talk politics next. Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. One of the biggest issues in the pandemic has been the politicizing of it. And we talk to the parents about that very issue and their children in schools. And our parents are here on The Factor Uncensored talking about their children returning back to school in the Houston region. This week, many of them are returning. HIZ, not quite yet. But guys, when we take a look at what we have seen when it comes to how COVID is handled in the state of Texas, the governor is saying there will be no mask mandates on the local level. Some local and elected officials are saying there should be, and we're moving forward with that. How big of a role is politics in all of this, Tamika?
Can I please speak?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I feel that unfortunately politics is playing a big role here, and unfortunately I feel that our governor is undermining science, is undermining CDC, and is not really taking this virus seriously, especially the health of basically children. And unfortunately, I believe that basically in politics, we are, at least politicians, are not reaching the common ground. And our common ground is the health of our children, especially children who are too young to be vaccinated. I understand some parents say that this is our right, it should be a choice. Yes, a vaccination could be a choice. Parents have the right to either vaccinate or not to vaccinate. But I think based on our common ground that the health of our children is important, wearing a mask could be one of the solutions that we can protect all children, whether vaccinated or not. And unfortunately, we have seen a lot of cases that fully vaccinated people are still getting the COVID. So wearing a mask, I mean, last year, my daughter went to school wearing a mask, and wearing a mask does not hurt anybody, does not hurt anybody's personal rights or constitutional rights or anything. So I feel that, yes, unfortunately, politics plays an important role, and I wish that we could basically, based on science and scientific data, we could place mask mandatory for kids to protect a lot of the kids who are underage and they cannot get vaccinated yet.
Let's bring Stephanie back into this conversation. Stephanie, do you think politics is playing a role in most of this?
I do think so, because I have my cousins in Alabama and Florida, and they do have some sort of mask mandate in their state. But it's really sad that Texas does not have the mask mandate. I do have a first grader. She's going into school. She needs reinforcement with wearing the mask, and she does it really well. So going back to some of the other people who were saying earlier, if other kids are not wearing masks, it really puts a risk onto like our kids who are really wearing their mask diligently. But I think definitely plays a role. Politics really plays a role in this.
Sandy, your thoughts?
I think it's about the politics is all about the money, and it's not about the safety and the concern of our children. So that's what I think. It's all about the money.
Are any of you at this point just willing to say, look, I'm going to keep my kid home. I'm considering homeschool. Tamika, go ahead and tell us a little bit about that and your thoughts on that process.
It's going to be very hard to homeschool him. Virtual kind of helps them have a schedule. It helps me keep them on schedule. It helps me to help them know what he's supposed to learn and what he's supposed to do. Me as a parent, I mean, I don't know what the curriculum is for the school district, so I wouldn't really know what he needs to learn so that he can progress in the school. So homeschooling is really hard already. So virtual will help the teachers, will help me with the teachers to get him where he needs to be grade-wise and education-wise. So for them to pull the virtual schooling, it just really makes no sense. To me, it seems like the politicians really don't have, children out there, any grandchildren, anyone that they really are concerned about. They don't concern themselves about the little ones because I don't think they really are thinking of themselves in our shoes.
And of course, we want to thank all of our parents from that round table for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.